Hey Kevin, it's me Nando, the YouTuber who secretly writes all the Marvel movies. Really excited about the reaction to Deadpool and Wolverine. Saw you didn't use all my suggestions, but clearly you did use a few. I appreciate that. And I got your new message. Dear Nando, listen, I might change my mind because I'm a wild card like that. Watch, I just fired a Blade Writer. Because I can. I've gone mad with power. Anyway, I want to do X-Men stuff, and since you love them so much, here's my offer. You can pick whichever X-Men, or team, or whatever you want, and pitch me that movie. Only rule, it sort of needs to fit into the MCU, maybe, unless we change our mind. But having the option is nice. Your friend, Feige. And I absolutely have an idea for an X-Men adjacent movie. Because as much as I love the X-Men, the story I really want to tell would be of their rivals, the Brotherhood of Mutants, led by the Master of Magneto. And this movie is going to be the Brotherhood of Mutants origin story set in 1989. Now I'm expecting to get 3 questions here. First, why Magneto instead of any other X-Men? Well, it's simple. I love Magneto. He is my all-time favorite comic character. Hero, villain, Marvel, DC, whatever. Magneto is the best. I love everything about him. Real quick, let's count the ways I love Magneto. 1. His outfit is insane. 2. His helmet is iconic. 3. His mutant name is bizarre. 4. His family tree is a disaster. 5. His ability is clever. 6. His henchmen are pure goon. 7. His speeches are the best. 8. His origin is incredible. 9. His loyalties are strong. And 10. His rage knows no bounds. He is also consistently the best part of whatever movie he's in. In fact, I'd argue he's the only character who is interesting enough in the early movies to pull focus from Wolverine. McKellen is Shakespearean. That Magneto knows how to perform, be dramatic, kind of superhero with the only thing that really matters, presentation. Sure, you could put your mutant metamorphosis machine on a submarine and sneak it through the Hudson, but wouldn't it be more fun if the thing turning all the world leaders into brothers in this fight for mutant rights was the ultimate symbol of enlightenment and the path to progress? Sure, you could kill the guards with metal balls, but wouldn't it be cooler if before you did, they orbited around you like the electrons orbiting the atom that gave mutant kind its gifts? Sure, you could move your troops to Alcatraz by like 100 different ways. You could probably pick them all up. These guys are covered in metal, but wouldn't it be more iconic if you transported everyone using the Golden Gate Bridge for the trailers? McKellen Magneto is not above a joke either. He got a dry wit that really shows in X2, which is in my opinion, the best superhero movie.
I have a hunch you'll want me alive.
Wolverine, whoever goes into the dam needs to be able to operate the spillway mechanism. What do you intend to do? Scratch it with your claws? And I believe one of you might.
The professor already tried.
Once again, you think it's all about you. When will these people learn how to fly? We love what you've done with your hair. Sonny, we keep running into each other. Mark my words, it'll never happen again.
Even the small things. Magneto didn't need to drop all those pins out of his hand before blowing up all Stryker's guys, but he gets it. It's cool to do so Magneto does it. And you cannot deny that his origin is maybe the best in comics, definitely the best for a villain. He was a survivor of the Holocaust. His powers manifested as he was separated from his parents and they were led into a concentration camp. Magneto, a being of pure will, pulled an entire rugby team of Nazi guards before getting knocked out, and behind Eric left a gate, mangled like his very soul. This kind of heavy-handed symbolism often doesn't really work, but it does for Magneto. And then Fassbender Magneto is just pure gold. I don't think those movies were ever really able to set another actor against him that could fully hold your attention. Even when he had no business being in these stories, the heroes found a way to involve him, for the good of the movie. 2. Why is it set in the past, specifically the late 80s? First off, I want it to feel like a historical event. Like if the X-Men get introduced in the MCU, I imagine most of the actual heroes on the team will be Gen Z, born in the 90s and 2000s. I want this to have happened before they were born. And the late 80s was a time for change. The Berlin Wall was coming down, revolutions all over Europe, Tiananmen Square, and much of the technology that currently runs our lives, computers, the internet, cell phones, were either being invented or popularized by the end of the 80s. So I want Magneto's ascent to feel like a part of history. From the ashes of old oppressive governments, a new superpower is forming. And that superpower has the potential to change the world on the same level as the internet. And also, the 80s were a huge time for Marvel Comics, and specifically the X-books. I think X-Men Apocalypse had the right idea of framing the mutants in that time period, since so many of their members are tied to specific cultural moments and aesthetics, so I'd like to see another movie set in that time period. But third, and probably most importantly, why this team? You've probably already seen the thumbnail, and you're wondering, why them? Why not a more traditional version of the Brotherhood? Well, first, not every mutant pictured in the thumbnail is a member of the Brotherhood. But second, there are different reasons I chose different mutants. For some, it is a strong connection to the Brotherhood. For some, it's a connection to the setting. And for some, it's because I just like them a lot. But keep an open mind as we go forward. Overall, my thought process for the video is this is an origin for Magneto that tells the story of the first Brotherhood and the mission that destroyed it. It's the reason this could have happened in the past, but characters have never talked about it. Because historically, while Magneto created the Brotherhood, I wouldn't say it's really his as much as the X-Men animated series intro would have you believe. Many characters take over the Brotherhood. Mystique seems to be the most consistent leader, but I like the idea that Magneto was there for the first one, and something went so wrong that A, we never heard about it, and B, it further radicalized Magneto. This was his last straw. Because of that, I need two kinds of mutants. Either mutants who, if we like them, can conceivably survive indefinitely, like let's say Mystique, who doesn't age. She can show up here and then show up in a movie set in the present, and it works. So we need that, or mutants who we are not going to miss. They can have one memorable role here and get killed, or just age normally and not be a part of these going forward. So I picked some mutants that are not usually huge players, but are fun. I also wanted a coalition of mutants from all over. Clearly, this is a team Magneto has assembled over time, sort of mirroring what Charles will eventually do. I want it to feel like that. So I'm just gonna jump into it. Originally, I considered popping in and out to explain the comic history besides certain characters or my other stranger choices, but honestly, I just want you to see the pitch for itself. If you want to learn more about some of these characters, especially one who may have the most convoluted backstory in all of comics, I might make a separate video about that. But without any further ado, here's the pitch. We're introduced to Magneto by a Russian general briefing his troops. The general says, in Russian, "We have intelligence that suggests someone is going to mount an attempt to free our prisoner." Which one? The prisoner. All the guards laugh. Good luck. We've got feet of solid steel protecting us from all directions. The Red Army couldn't break through our defenses. Guard laughs with them. You know who else had an impregnable fortress? The Italians. 10 years ago, they had a top-of-the-line garrison staffed with 200 men guarding one prisoner. One of them. And then, in a day, they were all gone. Killed. The base destroyed, and the prisoner never seen again. We can cut as he's explaining this to quick shots of someone laying waste to this facility, tossing guards, blocking bullets, flattening rooms. The security camera picked up one image. We can't make out much, but he's a man. One man. With the strength of an entire army. And for whatever reason, he brought it all down upon the Italians that day. That's why we brought so many new guards in here. Tripled our forces. Premier Gorbachev believes this prisoner is the key to ensuring the dominance of the USSR for generations. This is why you are here. This is how much he fears this man. Any questions? Everyone is scared silent until a hand goes up in the back. Yes? This man, he, how you say, has the strength of an army? And you've never seen his face? How do you know he even exists? Our Italian friends shared their information through an intermediary. They know how much of a threat he is. And what is he called? We don't know. No one does. Would you like to? What? Would you like to know what he calls himself? Everyone's confused. Why are you saying this? The man stands up, takes off his hat to reveal that this is Magneto. It's personal policy. And my name is Magneto. Then Magneto kills everyone in the room with all types of magnetism nonsense. It can play out like the train scene from Dark Phoenix. Magneto is ripping through dudes like tissue paper, calls over a radio to his accomplice. Do you have it? We see a man standing at control room. Everyone else in the room is bruised and unconscious. The man types into a console and finds a name, Petrovna. Yeah, she's in cell 7. Should be at the end of the hall on your right. You can't miss it. Very good. See you outside. And Mystique leaves the room in a hurry. Magneto flies through the hallway, deflecting bullets, knocking out guards. He comes up to a door with a 7, uses all of his strength. The door warps, and inside, Magneto finds a woman with a collar around her neck. Magneto snaps, and the collar releases and flies to him. He examines it. Then the woman says, "Who are you?" in Russian. Magneto responds, in Russian, "A friend," and holds out his hand. "Come with me." She stands up, takes his hand. The two of them book it down the hall. Some guards appear at the end of the hall. Magneto gets ready to knock them out with the cell door, but they're surrounded by black energy and crushed. Magneto looks back to see Petrovna waving her hand in the air as she's covered with a black aura. Extraordinary. Our team makes it out of the prison. They're met by many guards. The guards fire on Magneto, who redirects the bullets at them. Mystique yells, "Sage, can you hear us?" We see a woman sitting at a computer terminal in some sort of command center. She's wearing all black, has pale white skin, and red sunglasses. Paige answers, "Mystique, do you have Petrovna?" "Yeah, we've got her. Bring us home." Sage signals to another person standing in the center of an empty room. He's a bald man covered in tattoos. He concentrates and his tattoos begin to glow. Magneto also begins to glow. He takes Mystique's hand and Mystique takes Petrovna's hand. And right before the guards reach the team, they disappear. Magneto, Mystique, and Petrovna teleport into an empty room. Petrovna is terrified. Magneto and Mystique walk to a door and open it into a control room. Sage, the woman in black leather and red glasses, comes out to greet them. She's holding a blanket and coffee, which she hands to Petrovna. Magneto thanks her, tosses her the collar. "I hope you kept the receipt. Take it apart. See if we can recover any data." Magneto turns to Petrovna. "This is your home, for as long as you need. Sage can show you to your room. One last thing. What do you call yourself?" She answers, "Darkstar." "Well, Darkstar, welcome to the Brotherhood." Yet a little bit more decompression, some interactions between the team members. Sage takes Darkstar on the tour of the facility. This entire time, Sage is easily disassembling and analyzing the collar. Every time she takes off a piece, she scans it out of the corner of her eye and drops it on the floor. Darkstar is dumbfounded. "Hello, Miss Petrovna. My name's Sage. I'm the Brotherhood's operations manager. Mutant ability, I can process information at superhuman speeds. You've been in prison too long to understand, but I'm basically a very fast computer. I also have limited one-way telepathy. I enjoy wine and historical fiction. Follow me." They walk down a corridor, past a kitchen. A tattooed man passes them and grabs a tab. "Cafeteria. Food's limited, but we go on bi-monthly runs. If you have any suggestions, let us know before then. In anticipation of your arrival, we have stocked the kitchen with various Russian snacks. The balachka is very good. That's Vanisher. He's the teleporter that got you all out of the prison. Range is unlimited, but he seems to only be able to send max 3 people, and he needs to know at least one person in each jump. He's quiet." Sage continues to a living room where a man with a metal sphere for a head is watching television. Living room, basic cable. This is Zorn. His head is a collapsing star. He's the team medic. Watches lots of game shows. Zorn waves hello. Sage has thrown away at least half of the pieces of the collar. She's looking for something and hasn't found it yet. Sage and Darkstar pass a series of bedrooms. "These are the bedrooms. Yours is the last one on the left. Each has a bathroom with basic toiletries. You have the room for as long as you need. Any questions?" "Where are we?" "Good question. Can't answer for security reasons. You're safe, and if you want to leave, we can take you wherever you need to go, but keep in mind, there are not many safe zones like this. We'll keep track of you in case we need help with something, completely voluntary, but there will be no way for you to contact us, so think about it." Sage finds an unusual screw in the collar and focuses on it. "Well then, isn't that interesting? If you'll excuse me, I need to analyze this. Welcome to the Brotherhood. Here's your key." Sage tosses Darkstar a key and leaves. Darkstar is confused. She walks over to her room, sits down in her bed, and cries. She's relieved. She can finally stop running. Magneto is nervously walking down the hall. Zorn notices and offers Magneto tea. The two sit down in Zorn's tea room. Zorn pours Magneto a cup. "Petrovna seems strong." "She is. She uses Dark Force energy. That's powerful. Not unlike the star beneath my helmet." "Did she tell you why she picked the name Darkstar?" "She didn't create the name. It was given to her by the Russian government. They had her imprisoned for years, but still she chose to keep it. Curious. Eventually you forget anything else. You become what they make you. What's troubling you?" "Today should be a celebration. We saved a life. You saved a life. And it took what, 4 years to gather the intelligence and infiltrate the location? In that time, how many more were imprisoned? 100? 1,000? We're throwing starfish back into an ocean, and for every one we throw, 20 wash up on the shore. I just don't... What? Should I be doing more? More? I have the power to level these prisons. I could march on Washington tomorrow and demand the release of our brothers and sisters. And even if I failed, my actions could inspire future generations. You are unhappy with the plan. I'm worried he doesn't understand this like I do. Have you talked to him about it? He's so sure of himself. Good deeds and politics are the only way we'll ever truly be accepted. Do you think he's wrong? I don't know. I want to believe he's right, but I don't know how much longer I can watch our people suffer. Talk to him. Maybe he'll understand. The 3 of us are partners in this, after all." Magneto closes his eyes and appears in a drawing room. He sits down at a chessboard. A man walks over and sits next to him. It's young Professor Xavier. They begin to play. "Congratulations are in order. Your Russian trip proved successful, albeit with some casualties, but nonetheless, Petrovna is free thanks to your team. You know, some of our information was wrong. She wasn't in captivity for 5 years. It was 10. Completely alone. That's awful. Could have helped her sooner. It takes time to manufacture an identity and get you and Raven inside the prison. I could have walked in myself, ripped the doors off, sent a message. I'm sure you could, but a symbol like that is a dangerous one. Your operation, quick, precise, sends its own message. One that doesn't make us look like the monsters they want us to be. I just worry. We can be doing more. I can be doing more. We've talked about this, Eric. Creating peace is a delicate process. The slightest misstep can turn our progress into chaos. What progress? Mutants are still hunted, jailed. You know I'm doing all I can. Forging political alliances takes patience. You could change their minds. Bush could make a law tomorrow pardoning mutants. Eric, you know better than most the dangers of a state that rules without the consent of the governed. As much as I may not like it, we cannot force them. We must inspire them. You're doing good. You know that? But is it good enough? Will it ever be? Magneto gets a tap on his shoulder from Zorn. He leaves the psychic chat. Zorn says, Sage found something. Magneto meets Mystique and Sage in the war room. Sage is holding the collar. Digging through this thing was a nightmare. So many components. All custom, most untraceable. But there were some new ceramic screws, I'm sure added to make it more difficult for you to manipulate the thing. And that mix of ceramic is specific to one factory. So I got a hold of their records, found the part, and was able to trace it back to an invoice to the right. And this time, it went to an address. Who? A CIA agent named Hodge. There isn't much information about him in our system, but we know he's been in contact with the Russians, Chinese, Cambodians, and most recently, the South Africans. Do we know of any operations currently moving out of South Africa? There weren't any on the radar until a few weeks ago. There's nothing official on file, but locals reported a man disappeared. He'd gone to a doctor a couple days earlier with strange blue skin lesions and hunger. They call him Japheth. Do you think Japheth is a mutant Hodge managed to capture? Probably, but here's the fun part. That was a week ago. As of yesterday, there was chatter about a prisoner 345 that had escaped, and Hodge's team is traveling to that same region of South Africa to find him. Escape from where? No idea, but close enough that Hodge seems to think the person can have gotten home in a day. And it's tough to take a long flight if you have blue skin. You're saying he broke out of prison. He wouldn't be stupid enough to go home. We have reports on the ground of a man matching Japheth's description. Now he's fully blue and huge. This man was able to escape from some sort of mutant prison. We can get a hold of him. He can lead us back to it. Hold on, this all sounds a little convenient. We just find out about Hodge and then there's a new person to grab? What if this is a trap? Then we'll have to make sure ours is better. So because Vanisher can only teleport 2 of them, Mystique and Magneto go to South Africa. They make their way into the city, looking for signs of Japheth. And yeah, they'll get a look at some apartheid South Africa. Magneto won't be a fan of that either. No one in town will talk to Magneto. Mystique is able to take the shape of a local and ask around, eventually learning that something strange is happening near the docks. And this is where we get to see Magneto and Mystique working together. Their relationship is very important. I want them to feel like good friends who are both incredibly competitive. Magneto takes this way more seriously than Mystique, but she's not goofing off. She's just partially in it for the experience. Mystique sees spycraft as an art, and enjoys an opportunity to put it to use. She sees herself as an actor. When they get to the docks, they hear people talking about some weird things happening in a warehouse. Something scared them. Not a man, some bugs. And since Magneto and Mystique don't know much about Japheth's mutant ability, they assume this must have something to do with him, so they check out the warehouse. This scene would play out like something from a Hulk movie. Dark, empty warehouse. Japheth is freaking out somewhere in the dark. He's terrified of the bugs that are following him. Magneto and Mystique don't know what he's talking about, but start to notice scuttling sounds in the darkness. Eventually, they find Japheth hiding in the corner holding a bat. He's scared. Mystique and Magneto tell him they can help him control his gifts. In the background, we see boxes being devoured by the bugs. Magneto and Mystique tell Japheth that they need to get out before whatever those are get him. But as they make it to the door, they're met by a small army of South African police. They're here for Japheth. Magneto volunteers to take care of the cops, but before he can, the bugs find Japheth and tackle him. They're 2 massive worms, the size of a schnauzer. and they burrow into Japheth's skin. Japheth freaks out, which sets off the cops, who fire on everyone. Magneto blocks their bullets by making a shield. Mystique hides behind the shield. Japheth is nowhere to be found. The cops surround Magneto and Mystique. One brings in a sonic cannon like the one they used on the Hulk, and that knocks Magneto back and breaks his shield. Mystique gets ready to fight all of the cops by herself, but as she does, she hears a rumbling sound where Japheth was knocked out. He bursts out of the rubble, now hulked out, and takes down all of the cops, including the sonic cannon. Then he picks up Magneto and Mystique and jumps away. Japheth drops Magneto and Mystique off in an abandoned building. They look around and see this is where Japheth has been hiding out. They also notice the bugs devouring a piece of concrete. Magneto gets ready to attack the bugs, but Japheth stops them. Don't. They're friendly. Excuse me? I think I made them. But they're hungry, so I'm giving them a little snack before we make our move. And where are we going? Oh, I don't know. I thought you had a place. We got in today with the help of a teleporter, but we can't leave for a couple of days. Are we safe here? Safe? Sure, as long as nobody followed us. So who are you? I'm Magneto. This is Mystique. We're part of the Brotherhood of Mutants. Why haven't I heard of you? When you're like us, you can benefit from secrecy. So you're a person who hunts freaks? We prefer mutants, and I don't hunt them. I free them. Sure feels like you're hunting me. Well, I was trying to find you, but only because it seemed like you needed help. And you might have information that can help us free other mutants. Then what? What do you mean? When we're freed, what happens next? I don't know if you noticed, but people aren't thrilled to see a big blue man walking down the street. That's up to you. You can stay with us. We have a base where a room is available to you. It's comfortable. And if you want, you can help us free other mutants. But you don't have to. And if you don't want to stay with us, you can leave. Sounds like I don't have a choice. That's not for lack of trying. And the team goes to sleep. The next morning, Magneto, Mystique, and Maggot teleport back to the base. Magneto briefs Sage, Zorn, and Vanisher on the trip. Darkstar is just hanging out in her room. I'd like you to meet Japheth. What's up? He's a mutant, only been one for a few weeks. His ability is complicated. Okay, so I've got these maggots, right? Two of them. I call them Meanie and Meanie. They come out of me. I know, gross. And they eat stuff, whatever, food, trash, cars, whatever's around. And then, when they come back to me, what they eat turns into energy that makes me strong. Pretty weird, huh? Not at all, Japheth. My head is a star and I heal people. Sometimes these abilities don't make much sense. Word. Japheth sits down. And now, tell them what you told us. So at first, I just turned blue and got really hungry. Didn't know what was happening, so I went to the doctor and these dudes in military gear came up and took me. Eventually, I'd find out the group they worked for was called The Right. I wake up in a prison cell with this fancy collar thing on. I figured it was draining my power or something. Skin went back to black, so that was a good sign. But it turned out these guys were there to experiment on me. Try to figure out what I was. They did tests, x-rays, drew blood, cut me open, made me talk to this box or whatever. But anyway, eventually something went wrong with the collar. I think I had made the maggots before they caught me and they tagged along, eating and getting bigger until they eventually ate the collar itself. Obviously, I didn't know what was happening, so I just stepped on the things, and I guess then I absorbed their power, and I got strong enough to break down the wall and escape. And I just ran, far away. Turned out I was in Genosha this whole time. So I snuck back home, and you guys found me. Now, Japheth, do you recognize this man? Sage shows a picture of Hodge. Yeah, that's Mr. Hodge. He runs the whole thing. Incredible. Is there anyone else you recognized? Just the head doctor. His name was Moreau or something. I saw him every day. Weird dude. Do you remember where the prison was? Maybe. If I get back to Genosha, I could probably find it. Tell us more about this box. Oh right, that was weird. So they had this glowing box, like the size of a basketball. And every day they brought me into the room with it, turned my collar off, and asked me to reach out to it. I did, but nothing happened. They seemed really interested though, because they kept doing it. That or they were just really bored. Where was the box from? Was it a machine? Sorta, it kind of looked alien. It was black, it had lots of yellow lines constantly moving around it. And you think Moreau wanted you to use it. For what? That's the thing. I don't think he knows how it works. What do you mean? I don't know, but the way they treat it, it's like they're experimenting on it. Like it's one of us. So you think they found it, and they want to see if it responds to any of you. Maybe. This is good. This is very good. I want myself, Mystique, Sage, and Maggot to get to Genosha and set up a base. I'd like to come too. We're not expecting to need a medic. You never need one until you do. Plus, I haven't been in the field in years. Let me do this. Alright, but you need to be careful. It seems like Hodge and the government of Genosha are very close. They'll be watching once they figure out we're there. I want Mystique and Sage to go ahead first, find us somewhere to hide. The rest of us will come down when you get a safe house set up. And Vanisher, you hold down the fort here. Vanisher teleports Mystique and Sage away. Maggot asks, what'll I do until then? I've got something in mind. Magneto, way ahead of you. Maggot goes with Zorn. They visit Darkstar in her room, ask if she's up for a little exercise. I want to have at least one scene where Zorn and Magneto train with Darkstar and Maggot. Just some fun, first-class style bonding / learning how their powers work. Maybe they have a rudimentary version of the Danger Room that Magneto operates himself using his magnetic powers. I want to see Magneto and Zorn serving as advisors, teaching lessons, giving advice. They're a good team. Maggot and Darkstar are both a mess. They can barely use their powers reliably, let alone navigate an obstacle course. But again, this is meant to be light. Mystique and Sage get the new safe house all set up. Sage buys some computer equipment and makes a new command center. They could talk a bit. Sage always wanted to know where Mystique is from, but Mystique never told anyone, so Sage takes some guesses. They're all wrong. And they stress a bit about the stakes of the mission. Mystique asks Sage, have you made any progress on my project? Yeah, we can't find her anywhere. But don't worry about her. She knows what she's doing. We'll talk about who that is later. Eventually, Magneto, Zorn, and Maggot teleport to the safe house, and Sage lays out the plan. Pretty sure I figured out where you escaped from. It's a maximum security prison research facility called the Citadel. First, we need to do some recon. I need information from inside the facility. I can sneak in, but I want help. I think they'll spot me. I actually had a different idea. Something smaller. Not him. I need him. There has to be someone else. Oh no, not him. I'm confused. He won't even work with us. You sure Moreau is there? This man? Positive. I saw his face every day. We can give him Moreau. That'll make it worth it. He's been on MI6's radar forever. Hold on. We're getting James Bond? He certainly thinks so. Cut to Wright. Scott Wright. At your service. Scott! Raven! It has been a minute. How are you making out? I'm great. Scott, you remember Eric, Sage, and Zorn? Charmed. And this is Japheth. You're a spy? Does this answer your question? Micromax shrinks. Kind of. I'm an infiltration specialist. Raven and I go way back. She's the only one who was ever on my level. How is MI6? Not 6 anymore. Started a new division, MI13. They're more accepting of mutants now. They might let you back in. I could pull some strings. I prefer being independent. What about them? Partners. It's different. Of course. So you've got him. Moreau? We know where he is, and if we're able to break the rest of the mutants out of Genosha, we'll give him to MI13. In exchange, we need you to help Mystique gather intelligence. Yeah, I did a little digging on Genosha before I came down. Barely anybody knows what goes on in there. You've got your work cut out for you. So the next big scene is the first recon mission. Mystique and Micromax break into the Citadel. Sage, Zorn, Maggot, and Magneto stay back at the safe house. And Mystique and Micromax are very effective, but they're also very competitive. More than Magneto and Mystique. Sort of like Gimli and Legolas. And you can tell Mystique is into it. She finds challenges like this real fun, which is one of the reasons she does genuinely enjoy working with Micromax. The other reason is that Mystique knows nobody else on the team can stand him, especially Magneto, and Mystique is, if nothing else, a messy mutant who lives for drama. While this is going on, everyone else is anxiously waiting at the safe house. Sage is monitoring the mission, and Magneto is watching over her shoulder. Micromax manages to get to Hodge's office, but finds it empty. Magneto asks, "Where is he?" Sage looks at her computer and says, "I'm not sure." Then a phone rings. Eric answers. "Hello?" "Magneto. Nice to hear your voice. I wanted to talk to you. In person. Man to man. Or, whatever. It's Hodge. Peace offering. No tricks. Let's see if we can figure out a way to end this amicably," says the enslaver. "Do you want to talk or not? Where do you want to meet? Do you like baseball? You're not going to go. You just kill him there." "No, Hodge doesn't have that much power. Plus, we still don't know what he's up to. Talk to him, see what you can get us. Maybe he'll make a mistake and tell you something." "Fine, I'll be back within the hour. Until then, figure out how he found us. And get Mystique home. And Micromax? If there's time." Magneto leaves, which means Maggot, Sage, and Zorn are alone. Maggot's watching TV. "So you've been with these guys, what, a year?" "About that." "And you trust him?" "Yes." You trust me? Less, but the likelihood that you are a spy is low, so sure. You guys have a plan? Yes. Why don't you tell me? Mind reading. Can't they read your mind? Way too much is happening in there. Reading it would be like looking for one specific word in a novel. Mystique's mind can't be read, and Derek has been taking lessons on combating telepathy. From who? Friend of his. Hey, can I ask you a question? Evidently. Why do they hate us? We're not hurting them. We don't want anything besides peace and quiet. Why can't they just leave us alone? They don't hate us. Excuse me. The world is controlled by supremacists. It has to be. The only people who can run for president are the people who think they're better at it than everyone else. So when they see mutants and have proof that they're not the strongest, the fastest, the smartest, that breaks it. Everything they believe is a lie. So they can either accept that, which they almost never do, or they can live in a fantasy world where we're not playing by the rules. And they point their hate at us. But they don't hate us. They hate themselves. Because we prove that they're inferior. Feels like the same thing as hating us. It does. But it's different. You'll see. Magneto finds Hodge alone at the stands in a baseball game. He sits next to Hodge. Why did you want to meet me here? I like baseball. I'm so busy I haven't had a chance to just watch a game. So I figured might as well. Crackerjack? What do you want? Relax. Enjoy this. My dad loved baseball. Watched it every chance he could. He died. Let me guess. Killed by an evil mutant. Sort of. He got Alzheimer's. By the end, he could barely remember my name. But he remembered baseball. We watched the same game over and over again. He loved it. I'm sorry about your father. We're so excited about you mutants. Thought finally God gave us a chance. You could fly, read minds. Maybe one of you could heal him. Turns out, there was a mutant in China with the star for a head who could do it. Fix my dad. But you brought Zorn into your Brotherhood and now he just takes care of you. Your kind. What do you want? Zorn. Just Zorn. We can't bring your father back. That's not what we... Listen, we will free every mutant in the Citadel. That's 50. You can take him, leave, make your own mutant utopia. I don't care. We just want Zorn. I won't do it. You won't, but maybe he will. Ask him. See what he says. Here's my card. Hodge gives Magneto a business card. You know why I love baseball? No ties. Football, ties. Soccer, ties. But someone has to win a baseball game. They'll go 20, 30 innings if they need to. Because otherwise, what's the point? One team has to win. Not all mutants think that way. Maybe they should. Hodge leaves. Mystique and Micromax return to the safe house and give a report. Okay, so it's not Fort Knox, but this wasn't a picnic either. They've got layers of security and plenty of armed guards. We could handle them. Hold that thought. But first, we found something pretty weird. The machine you saw, Japheth, is alien. The Genosian government found it in the Kalahari Desert. They've had it for about 10 years. They seem to think it's a weapon, and they've tried to use everything to get it working. Scientists, priests, wizards, nothing. When Hodge got wind, he figured maybe one of these mutants he'd been hearing so much about could turn it on. So he brought in a scientist named Dr. Moreau. They call him the Gene-Gineer. Fun fact, his dad worked for Hitler, so you know, that kind of guy. Hodge let Moreau use Genosha as his private mutant testing playground, hoping that Moreau could get the mutants to turn the weapon on, but none did. One did. It's a girl, Shilpa Khatri. Can't be more than 15. They call her Trinary. She's a technopath, can talk to machines. Indian police caught her breaking into the bank accounts of the richest people on Earth so she could give their money to Indian women. But the IMDF tracked down Shilpa and gave her to Hodge. Shilpa was the only person able to affect the machine. Very briefly, she got close, the machine moved, and she fell into a coma. No one knew what she learned. Hodge has been trying to find a way to heal Shilpa so he can turn the machine on. That's why he wants Zorn. What? We spoke. You spoke? Yes, he called us. Turns out they've had surveillance on us the entire time we were here. He called and invited Magneto to meet him, to talk. And you just went. I needed to know what he knew. Get a look at his face. Turns out he wants Zorn, and it must be so he can heal the girl. Hold on. If they know where we are, why aren't they just blowing up this building now? Because Zorn is here. They can't risk killing him, and they'd lose a fight. That's why Hodge wants a deal. which we're not going to give him. Of course not. Now hold on. Zorn, think about it. There is a mutant who needs my help. I have to. No, Zorn. First, we don't trade lives. Simple as that. But second, think about it. If this machine is a weapon, if they're about to use Shilpa to activate this weapon, we're all dead. And third, if they know they can use you to heal Shilpa, what's stopping them from doing it again and again, putting her in coma after coma? You're helping them torture her. Maybe Shilpa can use the weapon herself and she can free the mutants. That's a big maybe. Plus, we don't know what this weapon even does. It might just destroy the planet. We need to get rid of it. I could eat it. Everyone stares. These things, they can digest anything. No problem. First, I want to have Shilpa try to shut it down herself. Then, I'll destroy it. But if that doesn't work, sure, you can eat it. So we need to get in, free Shilpa and the rest of the mutants, and destroy the machine without getting caught or killed. It's not going to be that easy. Huh? Remember those screws in the collar, the ceramic ones? We thought they were there so you couldn't use the collar. Well, that's not why. They're a leftover from something else. Hodge has been using Genosha to manufacture a new kind of battle armor he calls the Smiley Face. It's a mech suit sort of thing, but every single piece of it is either plastic or ceramic or carbon fiber, no metal. So they have an army of Magneto-proof robots. I can call for backup, see if MI6 can help us out. With what? Money? Men? We have plenty of both, but neither are getting us into that prison. We need a strategy. Sage, any wisdom? I don't know. Giving up Zorn might be our only play. You're kidding. I said I don't know. Magneto changes the subject. We aren't going to be able to deal with the Smiley Faces on our own. Who can we call up? Wingard? Absolutely not. It's irrelevant since we don't know where he is. There's Darkstar. She's new, I like her, but we can't rely on her. Stone? Unpredictable. Toad? Predictable but not incredibly useful. Uniscone? Shields are on the right track. Rushman? Skilled fighter but not the robot killing type. Cargill? I like her, but again, I want energy projection. Ooh, I got it. Fantasia. Fantasia. Oh, whatever happened to her? Left in 86, Beeper went inactive a year ago, has been back on the radar since. Although I haven't done a search since we learned about Hodge, maybe I can use him to zero in. Give me a couple of minutes. What about your friend? I know he wouldn't join us. Might as well ask. Fair. Magneto goes into a room, removes his helmet, and sits down. He closes his eyes and reappears in an empty Egyptian market. He sees a man in the distance. The man turns around. It's Charles Xavier. What a surprise. Friend, I need to ask you something. Come, let's walk. Charles and Magneto walk down the street. What's troubling you? We're going up against an army to save I don't even know how many mutants, but they've prepared for me with new armor. I need help. Perhaps of the psychic variety. Eric? Just put them to sleep. My team will take care of the rest. You know I can't provoke a war. I thought you wanted to do the same. I do. And this armor, does it not represent an escalation towards a war? Perhaps. But I fear we might be too late. They are preparing for a war, creating weapons, armies. I wanted to avoid it because I know the horrors and suffering it can bring. But I also know the horror of failing to act. They started this the moment they took us prisoner. Maybe that's the only way they can win, if we don't fight back. I simply cannot take up that fight. I'm working towards my own dream of humans and mutants coexisting, but it needs time. Well, while you're working towards your dream, I'll be making sure the waking world doesn't become more of a nightmare. Magneto disappears. Magnet and Mystique are waiting. Can I ask you a question? No. Okay, but why do you think they hate us? They? Normal people. Why do they hate mutants? I don't care. Of course you care. Listen, Jay. It's not my job to change their minds. It's my job to stay alive. And they'll always find a reason. Because they're scared, because it makes them happy, because they're brainwashed. It doesn't matter. I am in charge of me. Sage makes an announcement. I found her. Well, probably. She's from Bolivia. Well, a little less than a year ago, Hodge visited Bolivian black site prison Huge facility, dedicated staff, and no registered prisoners. I'd bet anything that's where she is. And if not her, someone who can help us. Mystique, can you travel to this prison and do some digging? See if you can break her out? I'm taking Micromax with me. Yes. Whoa, hold on. I'm not breaking a criminal out of jail. If MI13 finds out and this doesn't work, I'm done. Well, if we don't get someone like Fantasia, this whole thing's finished. No Moreau. Alright. But I don't like it. Now would be a nice time for a little more of Zorn teaching Maggot about his powers, and Vanisher having a chat with Darkstar. Maggot and Zorn are the two mutants on the team who look truly strange. Yeah, Vanisher has a bunch of tattoos, but these two cannot go out in public without causing a scene. So let's give them some time to talk about that, and their goals. And then I'd like to give Darkstar and Vanisher some time to bond. They're both powered by Dark Force energy. Maybe they can both comment on how strange it makes them feel to wield it. Either way, we just need a minute or two showing how these characters can help each other feel comfortable as members of Team Mutant. And while this is going on, Mystique and Micromax are breaking into Fantasia's prison. Mystique is able to slip past all the defenses pretty easily while Micromax goes for the control room and gets some data on a disc. Mystique gets to Fantasia's cell but is horrified. Micromax, looking at the data, radios Mystique. You see it? She's what? Mystique and Micromax teleport back into the room. Micromax hands the disc to Sage. She puts it in her computer. Dead. She was assassinated by one of Hodge's goons last week. Why would he do that? He's going after all of your people. Anyone you might try to pick up. Uniscoli, Calisantos. I was able to go through his old files. Anyone you freed that ended up back in prison, Hodge executed this week. He can't do this. Whoa, this guy's serious. Hodge will pay. How? Fantasia was our best bet. Without her, we don't have any hope of stopping the smiley faces. Darkstar can do it. We do have another option. I'm not letting them have you. You were the first mutant we found. The Brotherhood exists because of you. And now Hodge is burning it all to the ground. I won't let him. This is not up to you. I'm in charge here. I'm the leader of this Brotherhood for a reason, and I know what needs to be done. That's not all we found. Eric, Destiny is alive. Hodge has her at the Citadel. I know. How? Maggot told me. This is about that psychic? Yeah, Hodge has one. Pretty freaky, huh? That psychic is my wife. Ooh, my bad. I didn't know. When were you going to tell me? I can explain. You weren't going to tell me, were you? I needed you at your best. I'm a professional. And what happens when it's her or all of them? It won't come to that. I won't let it. If I thought you could be objective, I'd consider it, but there's just no way. So you don't trust me. None of you do. That's not true. You founded this Brotherhood because we needed to look out for each other. But now that I need something, someone, the person I've been looking for, this is how it has to be. I will give everything to keep her alive, but we must play it smart. You must. I'm out. Mystique, I'm going to get her myself. Magneto, don't get in my way. Now Mystique and Magneto can have a small fight. He tries to restrain her, she slips out of his grasp, eye transforming. She kicks Magneto into a wall. Sage, Zorn, Maggot, and Micromax step back. You can even stylize it a bit. Maybe Mystique grabs something made of wood like a bat, and Magneto takes a piece of a railing and they have a little sword fight. Mystique wins because she's way more skilled with that sort of thing. She closes the distance on Magneto and goes in for a stab, but her hand is stopped by Zorn. He tells Mystique that she can go, and she leaves in a huff. Magneto gets up, ready to stop Mystique, but Zorn stops him too. Let her go. She needs to do this. So, are we still doing this? We don't have a choice, and we need to make sure we do it soon, before Mystique makes her move. Sage, call Darkstar and see if she can help. Bring Vanisher out too, but if we lose him, I know, but we can't fail. We owe it to those prisoners. Sage radios to Vanisher and Darkstar, and then she steps out of the room and makes a call. Who am I speaking with? Call me Sage. Okay, Sage, what can I do for you? I want to take the deal. Oh, really? Yes. The others don't know I'm doing this, but I can give you Zorn under 2 conditions. First, he's not hurt, okay? And second, I get a seat at your table. What do you mean? Don't play dumb. I know what you're really doing. They haven't figured it out yet, but I have. Oh, really? Yeah, some sort of living technology, that's what you found. And you want a mutant who can make it do what you say. Augment humans, enslave mutants, but you can't do it without someone like me. Someone who can think as fast as it can, to keep it in check. How do you know I already don't have someone like you? There isn't anyone else like me. I think you're planning to use one of your supercomputers, but they're not fast enough. Not yet. So you're just willing to sell out your people. No, I said you don't hurt Zorn. What about Mystique? Oh, I don't think you could catch her if you wanted to. And I'm not sure she can be killed. Japheth? He's an asshole. And what about your fearless leader? Why do you care? I can't be a little suspicious. Mutant calls me at the 11th hour offering everything I want. I don't know how much you know about me. If I'm doing my job well, then very little. My name was Tessa. I grew up in Albania, moved around a lot. And for basically my whole life, I've been at war. Constantly fighting, killing. I want peace. Magneto, he's not a peacemaker. He's a general. We need someone who can work within the system to protect mutants. All Magneto is going to do is start a war and get us all killed. He can't help it. He was turned into this a long time ago. We need someone flexible. Do you have a plan? Magnetic resonance can shut Magneto out of any space, but it can also trap him. How does it work? No offense, but I can't explain it to you. He's a magnet, it's a magnet, they repel. When you have him, come take us. It'll just be me and Zorn. But Zorn does not leave my sight. How do I know this magnet field will work? Show it to your scientists. They'll get it. And don't send for me until Magneto is trapped. Otherwise, he'll kill all of us. Fine. Yeah, deal. Fax your schematics to this number. We'll be in touch. Now that we know Destiny is in the Citadel, we can check on her. Hodge visits Destiny's cell. Irene! I've got to ask, you must know that tomorrow's the big day. How's it gonna go? Who's gonna kill who? You know, I don't see details like that. Well, big picture, what do you see? I don't want to spoil the surprise, but you're gonna love it. I'm sure. But I really do need to know. So I brought a friend. A blonde woman walks into the room. Meet my little bird. Her name's actually Birdie. And she's been following your friends, telling me all sorts of things about him. You see, she's a telepath. She can read minds. But if there's one mind I really want to read here, it's yours. You don't have to do this. I don't have a choice. It's gonna kill my partner. I'm sorry. Birdie looks into Destiny's mind and is overwhelmed. She falls to the floor. Well, it's okay. Do what he says. It's blurry, but I saw a man with a metal head and blue glowing eyes in chains. I saw a man in red and purple surrounded and a woman with glasses standing with you. Sage. Well, anything about a blue woman? Not that I saw. Must have already got her. Or she ran. Doesn't matter. Anything else? The man with the metal head. He's healing someone. A girl. And she's scared. Well, you people are scary. She's not scared of the man. Something else. I don't know what, but you're part of it. The fear. Good. That's all they deserve. Everyone goes to sleep. It's the night before the big mission, and the mood is tense. Magneto wakes up before dawn and goes into one last psychic chat with Xavier. I know what you're going to do. Are you here to talk me out of it? I'm not sure. Your actions may provoke a war. Those mutants deserve freedom. I don't see another way. There must be. If I find one, I'll tell you. At least try to keep the casualties to a minimum. Let the courts punish the humans. Punish. You know, every time I kill one of them, I introduce myself, just so they know. And do you know what they never ask? Why? Because deep down, they know exactly why. The humans and I agree. They're guilty, and they deserve what I'm going to do. Magneto puts Xavier in check. Be careful. Magneto leaves the psychic chat. It's the big day. The team gets ready. Magneto asks, "Where's Micromax?" Sage says, "He left last night. He said if Mystique was out, he couldn't back us." Magneto is disappointed, but still, he asks about Vanisher and Darkstar. Sage says they'll be there. Everyone suits up. Magneto dons his classic costume for the first time. He asks Zorn, "You sure about this?" Zorn nods yes. Magneto and Maggot walk to the Citadel. Maggot nervously asks, "I've asked everybody, but why do you think they hate us?" Because it's easy. The world has become complex. And I'm not talking about us. Computers, rising oceans, the threat of nuclear war. Leaders need an explanation for why people don't feel safe. Solving problems, analyzing data, being honest with your shortcomings. Those are hard. Finding a boogeyman to pin it on? That's easy. We just showed up at the right time, like the witches in Salem or the Jews in Germany. But trust me, if mutants didn't exist, they would invent us. At least, that's what he told me. Now can you do me one favor? Our car flies through the air, hitting the wall around the prison. Magneto walks out with a powered-up maggot behind him. Hodge, I know you're here. Release the mutants and no harm will come to you. Where's the Russian? Waiting for her moment. Sage and Zorn are in the Genosian safe house monitoring the situation. Sage looks worried, Zorn is calm. The smiley faces fly out to greet Magneto and Maggot. They surround them. Magneto gets ready to fight, but one drops a small metal ball. Then all 6 smiley faces drop similar balls. Maggot yells, "Get down," and one of the smiley faces tosses Maggot out of the way. But the balls don't explode. They begin to spin in a circle. Magneto says, "What's this?" Hodge says, speaking through one of the smiley faces, "This is a magnetic cage. It counteracts your natural magnetism. So not only can you not use your powers inside of it, you can't leave. Take 'em." Suddenly, a team of agents bursts into the safe house, guns drawn on Zorn and Sage. They arrest Zorn and take him outside. Sage walks out with the agents. She says, "I had to," over mic to Magneto. They get in a helicopter and fly away. "That's right. Looks like your Brotherhood isn't as tight as you thought. You don't understand us. You never did." What don't I understand? Would you like to hear the story of when I founded the Brotherhood? I don't think I've told it to anyone. Oh, really? Not even Sage knows, although I'm sure she has her theories. When I was a boy, the Nazis invaded Poland. They took everything from us, including my family. I was able to escape because my mutant abilities manifested at the moment I saw my mother shot. And I escaped, determined to move forward, because I knew this wasn't the last time I'd see the worst of humanity. But next time, I wanted to be ready. The helicopter holding Sage and Zorn flies overhead as Magneto's giving a speech. They land inside the base and are shuffled to a control room. After the war, I studied and joined the Polish intelligence service. Wanted to see if there were other people like me without outing myself. Turned out there were, and different governments were snapping them up. So I kept track and planned to rescue them myself. But I knew I'd only get one chance, so I bided my time. Sage is set up in the control room. She has a video camera on Zorn, who is loaded into a prison cell. A mutant dampening field in the cell is activated. Hodge nods to get Sage's approval. She approves. They both turn their attention back to Magneto. But one day, an order came across my desk from the Americans. It was being sent to everyone. A mutant I hadn't heard of, with a kill order. I'd never seen that before. On sight. No capture, just kill. And I thought, I need to find them. Maybe they could be an ally. Or maybe they were so dangerous that they needed to be killed and only I could do it. So I took my information and left for China, where the mutant was last seen. On the course of my travels, I ran into another person with abilities, doing the same thing as I was. We fought, both hiding what we could do until we realized that we were both different. So we agreed to ally for this mission. Eventually, we made it to Linjiang, the city where the mutant was last spotted. And we expected to find, well, we didn't know, someone dangerous. Imagine our surprise when we met Quan Yin Zorn, a man with a star for a head who was healing the people. He had the ability to heal every disease, ailment, broken leg, bad vision. He could even counter the effects of aging within a certain limit. So we talked to the people of this town who told us that Zorn, that's what they were calling him, was just traveling the country, healing, nothing more. No threats and no prejudice. It was then that the Americans appeared. They attacked the village, first with soldiers, then bombs. My partner and I were able to make quick work of them. We told Zorn who we were and he went into hiding with us. He didn't want to leave his people, but he knew they were not safe as long as he was with them. My partner was able to do a little digging and he found out who sent the original kill order. Turns out it was a senator working with a pharmaceutical company. But they didn't try to work with Zorn or even capture him. They knew his existence threatened their entire industry. Mutants were bad for business. So we were forced to hide Zorn, knowing if he was found he would be killed. And we three, myself, my new partner, and Zorn, formed the Brotherhood. The funny thing, Mr. Hodge, I was hoping I could tell you this in person, Zorn would have saved your father, without question, but your government and your corporations wouldn't allow it. Enough. It's a lie. Ask him yourself. Zorn walks out from behind a nearby car. Darkstar's flying beside him. Wait, that's Zorn. Then who? At that moment, the Zorn inside the base's helmet breaks and falls onto the floor, making a big clang. Everybody looks at the camera and sees Magneto wearing the Zorn outfit. You think you're so clever. The Magneto outside turns into Mystique and backflips out of danger over to Darkstar, Maggot, and Zorn. Hodge calls the smiley faces back into the prison. Darkstar picks up Zorn and follows. Maggot says, I am so confused. Mystique says, what does the man on TV say? Oh yes, acting. Hodge runs into the control room as his guards draw their guns on Sage. Micromax grows off her shoulder. The two of them knock out the guards in the room. Micromax detains Hodge while Sage gets on the computers. The dampeners on Magneto's cell depower and it opens. Sage smiles. Then she finds the rest of the cells holding the mutants. Hodge asks Sage, how did you do it? I had eyes on the entire house. You never left, and you never told anyone. Hallmarks of a good team. Trust and communication. We flash back to Magneto talking to Hodge and see Magneto sending out a subtle series of waves. Cut to Sage and Maggot. Sage is monitoring the meeting with Hodge. Maggot is watching TV. The TV flashes a little static, and then more. Maggot complains and tells her he's going to turn it off. Sage stops him and tells him she likes the static. It's calming. Sage picks up that it's a very subtle series of messages sent through Morse code. She reads the code without speaking or making any movements. We can see that it reads, House is bugged, Hodge wants Zorn, proposing a trade, pretend to take the deal behind my back, more to follow. Then Sage forwards a psychic message with that information to Zorn and Mystique. From that point on, they are all on board. And right before Micromax leaves, Sage forwards him the plan, and he appears to leave, but shrinks. Magneto asks Sage where to find the prisoners. Sage says they're in the basement holding cells. She can't open them from here, so Magneto is going to need to do it in person. And this is the big payoff. All of our heroes versus all the smiley faces in Citadel security. As the smiley faces re-enter the Citadel, Hodge uses an up until now unseen stun gun to knock out Micromax and runs away. Magneto goes down to the cells to free all the mutant prisoners, and they're all overjoyed. We can see some familiar faces: Sabretooth, Azazel, Exodus, Avalanche, Petra, Sway, Astra, Random, characters like that. And these mutants treat Magneto like a hero, and he feels good. Not in a cheap way like they're worshipping him. Magneto finally feels like he's making a difference. Some of the mutants even hug him. Magneto hears from Sage that she's found Hodge and he's in the room with the weapon. Magneto tells Sage to lead the prisoners outside while he deals with Hodge. Darkstar blasts Zorn into the facility looking for Trinary. Mystique and Maggot tear through some smiley faces and guards until they find one cell at the end of a long hallway. Eenie and Meanie eat through the cell door and find Destiny. Mystique runs in, gives her a big kiss. Destiny says she knew Mystique would come for her, but then is interrupted by something. She sees a vision of an explosion at the Citadel. We need to get out of here. Now. Darkstar, carrying Zorn, flies through the halls. They get to a room marked Infirmary. Darkstar stands in the hallway and covers Zorn. Zorn finds the bed containing Trinary. He puts his hands over her head and concentrates. And after a couple of seconds, she wakes up. Where am I? It's okay. You're safe. We're rescuing you. Oh, thank God. Who's we? The Brotherhood of Mutants. Darkstar's outside, Mystique and Maggot are dealing with Hodge's men, and Magneto and Sage are going to get the machine. Trinary gets scared. No! What? It's not what you think. It's a living virus. Zorn calls to Magneto, but his communicator isn't working. Can you lead me to the room with this virus? Trinary focuses. I think so. Follow me. She runs out of the room past Darkstar and into a hallway filled with destroyed smileys. Zorn follows Trinary, Darkstar follows Zorn. Magneto corners Hodge. Hodge reaches for a plastic gun, but Magneto knocks it out of his hand. What are you doing? It's unnatural. Natural. Ha! Mutations. They seem unnatural, but they're just unusual. Mutation is how a species survives, after all. And rejection of that mechanism, fear of survival, that, I thought, was truly unnatural. But now I know your hate, your selfish fear in the face of progress is also natural. How could you not be afraid of falling behind? and in nature the only recourse left is competition. Your insistence on making our survival a zero-sum game has willed it so. A game I never wanted to play again, but one I do not intend to lose. Zorn, Trinary, and Darkstar make it into the room as Magneto has cornered Hodge. Magneto says, "Oh, good. You're just in time. Magneto, we need to destroy it now." "Why?" "It's a virus. I was able to see into its mind while we were connected. The virus comes from an army of alien conquerors who send the virus to planets, it infects the population, and then they're assimilated. No free will, no thought. If we don't destroy that thing, we're all dead." Hodge sees Zorn, gets angry, finds a second hidden gun, and fires. Everything slows down. Magneto uses his magnetism to push a chair in the path of the bullet that deflects the shot. Everyone's fine. Darkstar blasts the gun out of Hodge's hands. And while this is going on, Zorn notices the box containing the virus is doing something strange. It's freaking out. Trinary gets a headache and collapses. Magneto tosses Hodge across the room. Zorn realizes it's magnetic. What? The case holding the virus in place, it's magnetic. Magneto, contain it. Magneto focuses on the virus and tries to stop its movement, but it's already growing and has become too strong. Zorn picks up Trinary and runs out of the room. Magneto and Darkstar try to overpower the virus, but they can't. It explodes out of its container and lands near Hodge's body, and the explosion caused by its escape makes the building shake. "I can trap it." Magneto surrounds the virus in a ball of metal pulled from wires and pipes around the room. It settles, but then it starts to shake. And from inside the ball, a claw reaches out. It tears the ball open and absorbs it. The virus is now a mass of wires and metal. It spreads, absorbing other technology around like computers and telephones until it's a 10-foot-long metal scorpion thing with the head of Cameron Hodge. Basically what Hodge looks like in the comics. Magneto and Darkstar try to hold him back. Vanisher tries to teleport him, but he's too strong. Hodge rips through the building and begins assimilating everything. Magneto uses all of his power to hold Hodge back. Magneto tells Darkstar to help Vanisher get the mutants out of here. Darkstar goes to Vanisher and powers him up with her Dark Force energy, so he's able to teleport all the mutant prisoners and Darkstar, Sage, Micromax, Maggot, Mystique, and Destiny back to the base, leaving only Magneto and Zorn. And Zorn realizes there's only one play left. He begins to walk towards Hodge. Magneto yells, "Zorn, what are you doing? Get out of there! It's a virus. I think I can cure it. I think I have to. It's too powerful. You'll die. I'm sorry. It's not fair. They did this. You shouldn't pay for their mistakes. Goodbye, old friend." And Zorn walks over to Hodge and grabs his face. He concentrates all of his energy, his helmet breaks, revealing his flaming skull, and in a flash, Zorn and all of the virus are gone, leaving only Hodge in a huge crater. Magneto breaks down. He hears a voice in his head. It's Charles. "Eric, I'm so sorry." And Magneto notices Hodge get up, confused. What did you do?" Eric pulls Zorn's helmet into his hands. "Eric, don't. And Eric cuts him off. "Guilty." Then Magneto takes the remnants of Zorn's helmet and uses it to crush Hodge's skull, killing him. Then Magneto takes the helmet and turns it into a shield he uses to deflect bullets from a small army of police that have arrived at the Citadel. As he leaves the building, he sends pieces of the shield out to all of the police and the human prison guards who escaped. They're all killed. Then Magneto flies away. Cut to 2 weeks later. We watch a news report covering the destruction of the Citadel. It's been 2 weeks since the disaster on Genosha. We're finding out that wreckage near the site suggests the facility that exploded was a secret prison designed to torture and experiment on political prisoners. A UN investigation is ongoing. All the prison staff have been accounted for besides one Dr. David Moreau, a wanted fugitive. Anyone with information is encouraged to reach out to local law enforcement. Little is known about what caused the explosion. Some locals say it was a monster, others believe it was an alien. But for now, there's no sign of anything uncanny taking place. We see Mystique and Destiny are now running the Brotherhood with Vanisher. They've recruited some of the prisoners, including Birdie, her partner Sabretooth, a young black Tom Cassidy, and some other more obscure Brotherhood members. Darkstar's back in Russia. Sage has joined Micromax and is going to found Excalibur with MI-13. And Xavier is in the jungle, searching for a Magneto with the help of Japheth and Trinary. He crosses another location off a map. "Sorry, Professor. Doesn't look like it wants to be found." And then we see Magneto in a new base, This one is a small asteroid made of space junk in Earth's orbit. He's meditating. But he'll be back, right? He wouldn't just abandon us. Yes, Javeth. I believe he will. I just hope the man returns, not the monster. And that's the end. There you go, Kevin. It's the Magneto origin that establishes his relationship with the Big X players, creates a mythology for the Brotherhood of Mutants, and gives us a taste of how the X-Men will affect the larger Marvel universe. And yes, I do have a post-credit scene that would go along with this. Okay, here's how I see this one working. We're in the middle of the assault on the Citadel, and this time we follow Dr. Moreau, who is fleeing the chaos. Remember, we never saw what happened to him. He runs into his office, grabs some files, and then escapes through a hidden door. Micromax runs in and finds nothing, so he moves on. Moreau escapes onto the street level, but before he opens the door, he changes his shape to a white, John Hamm-looking guy and fades into the crowd. And then we see this man get on a series of planes and land in Alberta, Canada. He enters a large office building. Everyone is surprised to see him. Mister, you're back. Of course I'm back. Just needed some time to recharge. The man goes into his office and flips through his Rolodex until he finds a name. Cornelius. He picks up a phone and calls. An older man alone in a lab answers. Hello? Dr. Cornelius. Who is this? My name is John. I want to talk to you about getting one of your old projects back on track. That got shelved years ago. What makes you think you can get it started? I can. I just need to know you can still do it. Cornelius sits back. I should be able to. If you have the metal, it's not easy to find. I'll take care of that. Okay then. I'll get my research ready. Excellent. What did you say your name was again? It's John. John Sublime. We pan over to see the research Cornelius is working on is the Weapon X program. Blackout. I'll say originally, my plan was for Moreau to be Mr. Sinister, but I feel like Sublime opens up a lot of other possibilities for stories we've never seen done in X-Men before. Besides the obvious, like Weapon X, Sublime is responsible for the human, the creation of the world, a lot of the other fun Morrison ideas that never played out on screen. So as much as I love Mr. Sinister, John Sublime, the living bacteria, would be my main villain for this phase of the X-Men in the MCU. Now in my next video, we're talking about the other best villain in Marvel Comics, Doctor Doom, because as I'm sure you know, Robert Downey Jr. is going to be playing Doctor Doom in Avengers 5 and 6 and maybe in some other stuff. And a lot of people, including myself, have been asking, okay, but like, how? What does that mean? I finally have what I think is a pretty solid idea for how we can incorporate everything from this saga and everything that I expect to see in the next couple of Marvel movies, specifically Fantastic Four First Steps. That video will be on YouTube eventually, but if you want to watch it right now, go over to this video sponsor, Nebula. I love Nebula partially because I am one of the creators of Nebula, and I have seen Nebula grow and change, and it has been like after years seeing how the design has changed, how the site has changed, how many new creators we've added, how many new original shows we've put together. Like The Getaway just wrapped, a very fun and incredibly well put together, like it's kind of like a travel show, like a travel game show, kind of like Jet Lag, but it honestly feels more like a prank show because it's a show where there is a traitor, but it turns out everybody is the traitor. And this stars people like Matt from Extra Credits, Patch from Tier Zoo, and a bunch of other people you're probably familiar with from other Nebula stuff. But that show just finished. We're doing all kinds of cool stuff. Nebula is a fantastic subscription streaming platform. All my stuff on Nando V Movies goes up there one video early. So whenever a video goes on YouTube, the next video that's going to go on YouTube is already on Nebula. Also, you can watch all my videos ad-free. There's plenty of exclusive Nebula content, plenty of which that I have made or been involved with from like other channels or like the Working Title series. And there's a couple things that I am working on that are going to be exclusive to Nando V Movies on Nebula, so those should be fun. I'm gonna make a couple casting videos that I've wanted to make for a while. I have been trying to get some free time to work on those, and I've been getting some free time, but every time I have like a break to figure something out, they cast Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. So like, it is something I'm working on. There's more Nando V Movies Nebula Plus content coming. I would imagine a good time to look out for that will be in September when things calm down. And all we have, I guess, are two series, Agatha House of Harkness and The Penguin. But I'm gonna do it. Before the end of this year, we will have the X Factor casting video and at least one other that I'm working on that I'm writing and trying to figure out now. A subscription to Nebula right now is $50 a year, which is a great deal. But if you use my code NANDO at checkout, NANDO, you can get a year of Nebula for just over $2.50 a month. It is a great deal. Nebula is awesome, is where all kinds of cool stuff's getting made. We're adding new creators, people I am watching on YouTube, and then they're showing up on Nebula, and it's like, oh, awesome, that guy, I love him. Like Climate Town, that's like not a super recent example, because I think he's been there for a while, but that's one of those videos where like I have showed people Climate Town videos to explain like gas stoves and stuff like that, and then boom, they're on Nebula. So to wrap it up, go to go.nebula.tv/Nando, use the code Nando at checkout to get a great big discount. I look forward to seeing you there. As always, huge thanks to everybody that continues to support the channel on Patreon, everybody that watches these videos early and ad-free on Nebula, everybody that listens to my podcast, Mostly Nitpicking, and everyone that follows me all over social media. I'm Nando View Movies everywhere. That's all I got. Stay safe, and I will see you next time.